The guest in the blind spot. There is a specific kind of silence you only experience when you are completely alone. Not the peaceful silence of a Sunday morning, but a heavy, pressing silence. A silence so loud you can hear the blood rushing through your own ears. That was exactly the kind of silence that filled my new apartment. I had moved in just 3 days prior. 3rd floor. An old pre-war building with high ceilings and creaking floorboards. It was a steal, a price you just don't find in this city anymore. The previous tenant had been in a rush to leave, or so they said. Job change, moving abroad, the usual excuses. I didn't ask questions. I was just happy to sign the lease. The first 2 nights were fine. You get used to the sounds of a new building. The gurgling of the radiator pipes, the hum of the fridge, the footsteps of the neighbor above. But on the third night, something changed. It started with something trivial. I'm an organized person, some might say obsessive. Before I go to bed, my keys, my wallet, and my phone are always in an exact row on the dresser in the hallway. Always. But on Tuesday morning, my keys weren't to the left of my wallet. They were to the right. And they weren't parallel to the edge. They were crooked. I stood there, coffee mug in hand, staring at those keys. I let out a short laugh. My God, Julian, I thought. You're just exhausted from the move. I blamed it on the stress, the boxes, the late-night beer. I straightened the keys, went to work, and forgot about it. When I came home that evening, the apartment smelled different. It was just a nuance, a hint of musk? Or old, stale cigarette smoke? I'm a non-smoker. I walked through every room. Living room, empty. Kitchen, empty. Bedroom, empty. The bathroom window was cracked open. Did I leave that open? I asked myself. Probably. To air it out after a shower. I must have just forgotten to close it. I shut the window, turned up the heat, and sat on the sofa to read. But I couldn't concentrate. You know that feeling when you're on the subway and you sense someone is staring at you? You look up, and sure enough, someone quickly looks away. I had that exact feeling. Here, in my own living room. I sat there, and the back of my neck began to prickle. I turned around sharply. Behind me was only the open doorway to the dark hallway. Nothing. Get a grip, I whispered. My own voice sounded foreign in the large room. The next few days became a slow-motion nightmare. It was never anything big. It was tiny shifts in reality. A loaf of bread that was open in the morning, even though I was sure I'd used the clip to close it. The toilet seat was up, even though I always close it. Once, while I was showering, I imagined I saw the bathroom door handle slowly press down and then rise back up. When I ripped open the curtain and lunged toward the door, the hallway was empty. I began to doubt my sanity. I Googled symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning. It can cause hallucinations and memory gaps. I even bought a detector. It read 0 parts per million. The air was clean. So I was the problem. The stress, the loneliness. Then came Saturday. I had decided to spend the evening at home to finally unpack the last boxes in the bedroom. There was a niche in the wall, high up, almost at the ceiling. A sort of built-in storage space hidden by a white-painted wooden panel. Typical for these old buildings. I wanted to put my winter jackets up there. I grabbed the stepladder, climbed up, and tugged at the panel. It was stuck, probably painted over. I grabbed a screwdriver and pried it open. A musty smell hit me. Dust danced in the light of my flashlight. The cavity was deep. It reached far back into the wall, much deeper than I had thought. And it was empty. Except for one thing. Way back in the corner lay something small and dark. I leaned forward, almost losing my balance, and fished for it. It was a candy wrapper. A gold foil wrapper from one of those expensive caramel candies. It wasn't dusty. It crinkled freshly in my hand. I stared at that piece of trash. My heart began to hammer against my ribs, a wild, panicked rhythm. I had never bought those candies. And that wrapper,